Hey guys, I got another episode of the Pulling Around Show for you, and today we're here with Justin Whitehead. He's a Okie by heart, but we're gonna interview him and let him tell a couple of stories, and promise it'll be a good one. Justin, man, appreciate you joining me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for
Uh,
having me.
yeah, been trying to do this for a little bit, but something keeps
Paul
getting in the
Podier.
getting in the way, and then having a job. They say having a job limits you. So
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Or once you hit 50.
Yeah. Yeah. How old are you now?
I just turned 52.
Just 52. I just turned 51 in November.
Hmm.
Um, so like I told you, these interviews are about you. Um,
Okay.
Let people, I guess kind of get to know you a little bit. We won't dive in too personal, but and then just let you tell stories
Fire away.
and go from there, man. So, man, how did you first get involved in pool?
Well, I was like, I think I was 13, probably 38 years ago, and I went to the movie theater and watched The Color of Money.
Yeah, it's
That
up.
was the end of it. I
Yeah.
quit school. I was going to be a pool player. That's uh, that's what I did,
Um,
pretty much.
who who was kind of your mentors or your back then?
Man, when I was growing up, we had Donnie Folkes, Randy Jones, uh, Mike Betts, Jim McDermott, Fat Randy. I would play, and if I wasn't playing very good, I'd change strokes and I would impersonate all of them, you know, till I found one that hit right,
Yeah,
And it was just a different time back then growing up, like
yeah,
the players today, like they're all in shape and they play these races to 100 and 120 and they play races to 40 a day. We played 4 days when we played.
hmm,
And like if you quit winter, you might get kicked out of the pool hall, you know. Like it was just a different breed, just a different, rack for each other, different cloth,
right,
no jump cues, uh, which I really don't think the players today, they could fade that, unless they grew up in that time because like, you got the magic rack. Someone that's a 300 can jump the ball like this close,
right,
like
right.
it's carbon fiber shafts. I mean, it's good for the game, I think, you know, because it's more like other sports,
Yeah,
fair,
yeah. It's
but
evolved.
it takes so much out of the game because pool used to be the only sport where you may not get a chance to play.
Right,
Now you have a chance to play in most tournaments.
right. Could
Makes
alternate
it, like I said, more like other
with
sports.
the alternate break format,
Right.
right? Which that's been
Which I
around.
don't mind. I don't mind unless it's a handicap tournament because like I said, I'm going to play in a tournament tomorrow for the first time in like 2 years, and I might have to spot someone 3 games going to six,
Right.
alternate the break. It's really
But if it's but then on the other hand, if they win the flip and they can run out,
mhm.
somebody going to three and you going to six.
Right. I got to keep them at two.
Yeah,
Like I was telling you earlier, like one game spot going to seven is about like the seven ball.
right,
You know,
right,
so if my
right,
son didn't want me to play, I probably wouldn't go play.
right. Man, you gotta hang out, you gotta spend time with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, so when you were growing up, what are some of the challenges you faced as a pool player?
Um. Well, I grew up pretty poor, so like I think I escaped and went to the pool room just to get attention and fit in,
Right,
and it was cheap. I could go in there broke, and I didn't mind being there all weekend broke and just watching the action and just the money pass around and like, and I was so green that I would just try to give somebody the six ball that could give me the six ball,
yeah,
and they used to. Once I started getting better, I'd stay in the pool room and play and play and play and play, and we had we had good drugs back then,
Yeah.
and back then it was like chemical warfare. It was like you didn't do drugs every day, but if you were playing a 30, 40, 50 hour set and you could get a Desoxin or a Prelude or something like that to finish it off, that's what you would do. And, it's like I never needed any of that. I could play 4 or 5 days with no drugs because I was so hyper.
Mhm.
And if I would take something like that, it was a wrap. All was history. I'd be jumping up on every ball and so it took me years to figure that out. But, it was just a different time back then. But it was awesome. Like you guys probably remember the new Palace at 21st, but the old
Yeah.
Palace at 11th and Harvard was the place. That was just, it only had like 12 tables in it, but
Yeah.
people from everywhere. I mean, that was the place. If you wanted to come play pool, it didn't matter who you were, you're going to get action in there, and it was just great. Jim McDermott was probably the best pool room owner I've ever met.
And
Like
that was fixed to be my next question. How
in,
did
in every way, in every way. And he always knew, like I worked for him a couple times and he always knew he wouldn't look at you. He'd be talking to everybody, he'd have these little get-togethers for everybody that worked there, and he'd go, and y'all, for all you people smoking weed out there back, no more of that. Like he knew everything.
right,
The guy,
right, yeah,
and he always cleaned his tables. Everything was spick and span, and he ran out. It was a business.
right,
I've been to every pool room in the country, and you didn't see someone cleaning the tables and racking the balls every single time.
correct,
And
yeah,
you know
yeah,
the
and
waitress is always on top of everything, and paying instead of paying them $3 an hour plus tip, he pay them 7, 8, $9 an hour, plus their tips, which is unheard of.
right. So how did how
Great
did
businessman.
how did Jim treat you personally? I mean, I know I
In the
interviewed him.
beginning,
Yeah, I
in the
interviewed him.
beginning, it
Yeah.
wasn't pretty because I was so. One time he was going to teach me how to do something. He said, well, let me show you. And I just wanted him to show me something so bad. And I said, well, here's how I do it. And he goes, oh, you already know too much. I can't show you anything. And then another time, John Lapardis was in half of the old billiard palace.
Right.
And John was great. I think he gave me and a friend of mine his last $400 to go to a tournament in Colorado somewhere. And I think I got like 9 through 12. I wrecked a car on the way back. Uh, uh, Jeremy Freeman had loaned me the car.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was his friend's car. And his friends came and picked me up 800 miles, drove in. And I was asking Jim, I said, Jim, do you think you can maybe send me $100 or something so we can, he goes, well, you know what I used to do? And when I went broke on the road, I used to collect bottles, bottle caps, and turn. I was like, yeah, fuck you, Jim. But I mean, later on, I mean, I deserved that, I mean, back then, I was so upset with him and angry, and I didn't realize, I was Mr. Know-it-all, and I didn't know anything.
Tough, tough
I learned
love.
it all the hard way. All you had to do is tell me I couldn't do something. I was like a wind-up toy,
Yeah.
and just watch me go.
Tough love
Tough love,
for
But I
sure.
respect that man with everything. Salute you, Mr. McDermott.
I interviewed him, I think this time
I
last year.
watched that interview. I
Yeah.
did watch that one.
And I'm supposed to go up there and do part two. I just
Hmm.
haven't made it up there.
I saw he was getting so excited he kept forgetting where he was at in the stories because he had so many stories.
He does. He had a notebook there, and then
Oh yeah,
all the pictures he has on
and,
his
and
wall
Sam
behind.
Sam Scharnhorst was one of my best friends. Like
Yeah.
we went to Mexico together. Like yeah, and he was a badass. That guy was a badass.
Yeah.
Great guy too. So many great people. Evelyn and Danny Dicer, great people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And
just everybody.
I'm glad to see
Great
him.
pool community.
I'm glad to see them running tournaments again too.
Yeah.
Um, but do you plan on getting back out and traveling, or you're just gonna?
Yeah, I'm getting back into it. I just took I've taken a couple years off a few times, and I just took another couple of years off. And I'm ready though. I got the itch. I went and hit balls the other day, and I played pretty good. So I'm
So
just a matter of
what do you feel like is your best game?
my best game. Probably 8 ball on the bar table, but I mean 9 ball or 10 ball, 8 and 9 ball.
Are you not a big one pocket fan?
I play all right one pocket. I'm gotten better, but I've never been a great one pocket player. Like Brian Jones. I saw Shane McMahon. Brian Jones was a real grinder. He used to give me like 9 to 6, and it was tough. So I mean, he wasn't the best player, but he was such a grinder. Tough. I play all right one pocket. I play terrible one pocket. Someone give me like 11 to 4 or something.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
We'll put his phone number in the link below so y'all can get in touch with him.
Who? Who? Oh yeah, yeah, definitely,
I'm just
definitely.
being
No, you can do
facetious.
that. You can do that.
Um,
I'm a 668 now, and I will play any 675 or under for a big set here in Phoenix. If you guys want to come bring me some action on the bar table, 8, 9, or 10 ball, you got me.
are you the reason Mitch Ellerman moved to moved to Florida?
No, I don't want
No,
none of Mitch. I don't want none of Mitch.
because he was living there for a little bit, wasn't he? Then he moved to Vegas, or
I don't know where he's around here somewhere.
I think
Bobby
he,
Emmons has been playing a little bit too. Bobby Emmons,
yeah, yeah. Um, so outside of pool, what are some of your interests or hobbies?
fishing. I
Fishing,
love to fish. Casinos, of course.
right? Yep.
You know, uh, camping. Just I don't know. I've been getting kind of lazy, so I don't know. I've been going on walks and stuff. I mean,
Speaking,
52 just
yeah,
hits you, and it's like, man, I don't look it, but boy, I feel it.
yeah. And the thing about it is, you think about it, man, you've already lived half of your life.
I've lived more than half my life.
Well, and I feel like I have too. Um,
I mean, in my generation, most of my friends, I mean, they're gone about 70, between 65 and 75, 80-ish.
yeah, I mean, freaking losing Jeff Melton, man, just
Yeah, I
it,
couldn't even believe that. Like he's never like he didn't do drugs or do anything.
yeah,
How did he go? What happened?
his heart stopped, heart attack. He was from what I was told. He was sitting there in his recliner watching a western, and
Wow.
he leaned back and never got back up.
Like I don't know if you knew my friend Chuck, Black Chuck from Chicago.
Huh.
He owned a Diamond Billiards for a while. He had a massive heart attack and died too. He never done any drugs or smoked or anything. He's our age.
Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer when it's your time to go, hey, it's your time
Yeah,
to
it's your
go.
time to go.
Yeah. No matter how it happens.
Hmm.
So you're talking about the casino. Do you ever watch any of those guys that video themselves gambling and stuff on YouTube?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I've kind of turned into an advantage player. I do the advantage play on the slot machines.
yeah.
If you look it up, it's too hard to even get into explaining. But one second. But it, it's a grind, and it actually taught me discipline and how not to gamble. If that
Right.
makes any sense, because you really don't have to. But I'd like to put that out there. If you guys go to YouTube and look up advantage playing slot machines, there's certain machines that you can actually walk up and you're going to win. You can do not all of them. It depends. There's different uh, stages of it, so to speak. But some of them you can walk in with a short bankroll and win. You can walk. Some of them you need 2 or 3 thousand. Some
Right.
of them you need a few hundred. So it just depends. It takes so long to learn, but it's actually taught me discipline and I've got a lot of gamble,
Right.
so it's taught me how not to gamble. And it's more of a job. It's really not fun. Like most people go in there for fun or vacation or entertainment. I go
Yeah.
in there and I walk the floor and I go up in my room and sit because I don't want to. It's what I've done for years. And when you're playing pool, it's not fun to go in the pool room and have a drink and play pool.
Right.
I want to be in action or a tournament, or it's not really, you know what I mean? When you've done it for almost 40 years, it's like, it'd be like if you worked at, a refinery and it's like, hey man, what are y'all doing this weekend? Oh, I want to go to the refinery and hang out. Like you really don't want to go.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that watch that Vegas Matt, him and his son EJ. I mean,
Mhm.
they're gambling every day.
Yeah, yeah. They're a loser though. They're they're a
They are,
loser.
but they make a ton of money off their
Oh
videos.
yeah, 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 for sure.
I
For
mean,
sure.
they've almost got a million subscribers.
Oh, the guy that's been betting like 1,000 to spend it like every day.
Oh,
The gray-headed guy. Yeah.
oh the yeah, no, I don't watch him. I watch him and NG. NG's the guy from Romania, man, and he bets
Oh
huge.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've been watching this new gray haired guy, and he's got a chain on. He's been betting high like 1,000, 2,000 a spin.
oh
They're like
yeah,
200,000 in a couple machines.
yeah. He's from like the East Coast, but
Yeah.
um, golly, what's his name?
They were playing Regal Riches the other day. That's a advantage machine,
Yeah,
but
just looking
they
to
don't
see
really
what
know much about that.
um, just looking to see what the where the what are they the Shields?
Mhm.
Looking to see where they're at on there. But man, those games there, you've got to hit
Those
those bonus.
Regal those Regal Riches. I'll give you one pointer. They have a purple, they have a green, and they have a yellow. And the purple has to give you free spins before 75,
Right,
right? They
right,
start off at like 30.
right,
The green has to give you free spins before 100, and the yellow has to give you free spins before 125. So if you ever catch one of those like 13 away or 14 away,
yeah,
you want to play them.
okay,
You want to play them till they hit. And there's another one right here at the bottom, and they start out at 5.
right,
And they usually hit around 8. But if you catch those at 8, you want to play those till you hit those.
right,
And then once you hit it, you're done. You don't keep gambling or keep playing because you can't win.
right.
Like,
Because
and
the
it
line
takes so
pay
long to build that up. But like, you know,
right, the line pays on it suck, but if you can hit those
the line
bonuses,
pays suck. But if you catch that blue one at eight or more,
yeah,
because you're going to get that one free spin, and
yeah,
it's
and
going to
if
throw
it's
you eight
a
wilds out of 20 squares. You know,
yep, what do they call it? Because five or
Regal
six or six,
Riches.
yeah, I'm just on the spin itself on the 5, 6, or 7, whatever it is.
Mhm.
There's sometimes it'll hit where it's hitting
Oh,
on
it could hit a 5.
yeah,
And so, yeah, and
they
sometimes it'll blow up like it's going to throw a good one, but that doesn't really mean anything. And another thing is, some people like they're worried about where they stop it and how they let it. Here, I stop it as fast as I can because you get 600 spins an hour, and it doesn't matter if you let it spin, stop it. There's a lot of machines in there, so I play it as fast as I can. So if you catch somebody running around, they're stopping it every single time, and then they're moving to another machine, they're an advantage player.
okay,
Watch those guys.
okay,
But most people don't, like I said, they don't want to hear about how to save money or win money. And they're there to lose money because they're on vacation. They don't care. And if they
right.
win, it's a bonus, you know.
Um, what was your first cue?
A D12 McDermott. My mother bought it for me.
Dang, you still had that one.
Yeah. And then I had a Mucci, and I was watching Mike Siegel break, and he always bent down and bent down. So I was showing off for these girls at the family Q spot by my house, and I was bending down on it. And I looked up and I walked away, and my shaft and part of the butt was laying on I I snapped it in half like a
Uh,
week after I bought it.
um, so whenever you're when you get in a slump, what do you do to
Mhm.
get out of it?
Um, take a break.
You don't just like some people just tell you to shoot through it.
Well, I already did all that. Like I said, I was like a wind up. Like if someone told me I couldn't make a shot, I would shoot it for 12 hours till I made it. For real. Literally. They said, "You're another Greg Stevens." Like, I said, "Who's Greg Stevens?" They said, "Well, he's a pool player in Wichita, and he'd play 5, 6, 7 days, and great player." But like on day 3 or 4, nobody would come to the pool room. I would be in such a stroke that I would be giving handicaps to people that I'd be giving the last 4 when I can't give them the 7 normally. But they'd wait till like day 5 or 6 and say, "Well, Justin's been up there a week. Go take him off." I couldn't make a ball. You know, they'd come. Joel Weinstock would come in and play me even for 30 a set and just bust me. You know, which I'd be offering the 5 ball the first few days.
Yeah.
It wouldn't play. You know, but I would say either shoot through it if you haven't been playing that long. I'd say shoot through it, or depends on what your problem is. Like I was a I was a 7. I was beating 9s gambling, but I was so nervous in tournaments. I was still a 7 until I placed in the money, and I finally started learning how to play tournaments. And I've won a lot of decent tournaments, and it's a different kind of a pressure.
It
Some
is.
people can't gamble, some people can't play tournaments. And when it's just difficult. You're breathing, shortening your stroke up on the bar table, having to adjust from one table to the next.
Mhm.
Uh, a lot of different things. But if you've been playing a long time like I have, you just need a break. Most people, like I'm more natural player. Like I'm more of like a Strickland or something like that. I'm not like a Federer. I'm not a mechanical
Right.
anything. Like,
Right.
and I
Understand.
shoot so fast, it's hard to. I see the table like 10 times faster than I'll break and I see the whole layout. And my problem is slowing down sometimes when I start really, but it's kind of more like a fight. I'm going to hit the guy a bunch of times and then I might miss the ball straight in, but I just run 5 racks on him. Now I'll sit down for a minute and see how he comes back at me.
Right.
And I've always been one of those kind of players, which is it's a little intimidating for most players, but the slow methodical players I really don't like to play that sit there and like a robot, never say a word. I want that guy trying to jar me or jumping up in front of my shot or I want to like, get into because I don't like the person I'm playing. If you're too nice, you can't play pool. If you're too nice, you're not going to be a great player because you have to get upset on that pool table, either
Right.
it's at him or at yourself or something. And after the match is fine, you can be friends again. But during that match, you got to dig deep.
Yep. Because you're there to beat him.
Find a reason to hate your opponent during the match.
So, do you have any pre-match rituals or?
um, no, I used to wear certain shirts. I used to wear this one shirt until I got beat up in a bar one time. It said "Quit your sniveling" on
Oh,
the back
heck
of it.
yeah.
Um, and I don't like to wear new shoes when I play a match. Brand new shoes, I've always lost. When I wear brand new shoes in a tournament or for the money, I've always lost. So I never wear brand new shoes. Uh, I always want to, but I never play good in brand new shoes.
Oh,
But
yeah.
no ritual.
It's just because the new shoes aren't comfortable or not broke in. Um,
No, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's mental, maybe. I don't know.
if you could play a match against any player from history, who would it be and why?
Well, let me think. Let me think of that one for a minute. Ask me something else, and I'll be thinking about that.
Okay. So, what's coming up for Justin? I mean, you got
Um,
anything in the future? I mean, besides tomorrow's tournament.
um, Not real. Well, my mom just had a hip replacement surgery, so I'm at her house and I'm trying to help her through that. And then she's got to have another one, so I'll be tied up for about 6 months here. And other than that, no, there's some good casinos right around here, and I'm thinking about going to Black Hawk, Colorado, and maybe getting an RV and going up there and
It's
hitting
it's
the
it,
casinos up there because there's
it,
not a lot of advantage players up there. And
it's a pretty place too.
going around the country trying to find a 675 runner to play me a big set down here on the bar table. I mean,
Uh, like Mike Piazza or
I don't care if there's 675 runner, they can get it.
Adam Pettinger. I think this is
Whoever. Maybe I'll play them round robin, 8 ball, 9 ball, and 10 ball on the bar table. And we don't have to play a headset. I know most players, like old players, like to play head. I'll do races to 25 or something.
so. Out of all the matches and tournaments you've played, what's the most memorable one?
Most memorable. I mean, probably when I was 15 and I lost my first match at the old billiard palace. And I won like 11 in a row. I had just got done playing my first $500 match, and Billy Cannon and Carl Bailey staked me. And I played Larry Mayo from he was a mobster from Kansas City, and he had played Matlock with the six for 10,000. And anyway, I got the last two races to nine for 500, and I beat him like 9-7, 9-7. And Billy Cannon was sleeping over there in the corner, and they gave me $400, and I stayed up there all night long hitting balls, most money I ever had. And there's the biggest tournament they ever had. In that tournament, that race to six loser break, I think it was the toughest tournament in the country at the 11th and Harvard Billiard Palace. and Gary Flannery. I mean, George Brunt, Breedlove, everybody was there. Randy Jones, all the locals that a lot of the players from the Palace don't remember. Donnie Folkes, Mike Betts, Jim McDermott, all those guys. And I bought myself for $30 in the auction. It was the biggest auction they ever had. And I said, Carl, you guys, I was already worn out. I've been up all night long. I said, you guys want half my Calcutta? They said, no, it's okay. And I lost my first match. I won 11 in a row, and Matlock beat me in the finals, and I won and this is like 38 years ago, 37 years. This is a lot of money back then. I won like 300 in the tournament, 320, and then I got like 850, I think, in the Calcutta. And I went up to Matlock and I was like, man, I'm going to go get an apartment. I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to do all these things. And they were just laughing at me. I think I was broke in a week. But that's, my most memorable. I've won a lot of bigger tournaments since then, but that's the one that set me off right there.
Um, what's your the match with Tony Watson?
Tony Watson. Well, I played him a couple times since then, but I played him in 1990. It was 90 or 91 at the U.S. Open, and he was 13. And I just played. Shannon Dalton gave me the 7, and we played 6 ahead for 5 ahead for 500, and my backer wasn't there, and we were going back and forth for about 4 hours. And he said, "You want to bet 1,000?" I said, "Well, I got to call my backer." So my backer was a guy named Larry Reisman from New York. And he said, I can't get back down there, but I'm good for 1,000. And Shannon goes, "Well, I've been stiffed out of 20 acres of land and 4 houses. You got it. Let's play." And we played for about 5 hours and broke even. So we just quit. And Tony comes up and goes, I'll take the 8. I take the 8 in the break. Play something like 50, 100 a game. And I gave it to this little 13-year-old kid, and he beat the shit out of me. He beat me out like 300, 400 in about 20 minutes.
Wow.
I quit him. He was 13 years old. I think I was 17.
Pretty strong. Yeah, you remember walking into the billiard palace, and as soon as I walk in the door, little kids running up to me with a wad of money in their hand and asked me if I wanted to gamble. And I was there with my dad. We just come up there to hang out and shoot some. I was like,
And
no,
you grew up in the city, right?
no. Well, south of there, Ada, Oklahoma is
Yeah,
where I grew up
same
at.
thing.
But we used to go to the city all the time when Sarkey's was on 44th,
Mm-hmm.
and when Hillbilly was their house pro. I used to run around with Hillbilly quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, he really could play.
Yeah, he
I got a story with him about that.
let's bring it on.
I played. I was at a place called. Gosh, I forget the name. It was in Oklahoma City. I think Big and who's the guy that owns the weed shop now?
Tim Malone.
Tim. Yeah, Tim owned it. Gators. It's called Gators.
Gators, same place.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I played. Me and Joey Gray played Tyler Strong and Hillbilly. Tyler and Hillbilly played, and me and Joey played, and they were about 12 years old, or 11 or 12, and me and Joey lost, and I was winning all the money down there. I beat Big, and I was winning I was going down there like every Tuesday on payday, for Big and them, and I was probably 30,000 winner, and Hillbilly was so mad because he wasn't getting any action. He kept offering me the 8. You got the 8, you can play. I said, I knew all I had to do was turn him down, and I would just continue getting the money. It's like, no, I need the 6, which was probably a fair game then, but I just kept turning him down. But they did beat us that set.
We had Hillbilly. I mean, we're good friends, but
Yeah, he's great people.
he didn't know how to gamble.
No, he was. Here's another story. He was playing a league one time, and Hillbilly, forgive me for this, but I don't think you mind, but he was, and this just what you said there. He was playing a league in Oklahoma City, and I was talking to James, not James, because James he didn't match up great either, but he could play great, but he didn't match up great. But someone, rest his soul, Mike. good player, just passed away. Mike
Douglas. Douglas.
Douglas, yeah. Douglas says, and me and him ran around, made some good money. He said, man, it's hillbilly. I mean, he's talking about one action and everything, and we're playing. And there's a guy I told him when we went in here, this league guy that we're playing against, he could beat him out of 5,000, and he missed a ball. He made a shot on the guy, and he beat him in the tournament, which he was supposed to lose. And he said, "That's the shot I missed against Archer in the such and such tournament."
And he's
That's hillbilly.
so I took him. We went to Neosho, Missouri for one of Evelyn's tournaments, and I was trying to get him a match to match up against somebody. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Denver Barger. And
Oh, he could play too,
yeah, and
but he's supposed to win that money.
yeah, but Charlie kept telling him, "You don't want to play me." He says, "I'll beat you. You don't want to play me."
Yeah.
Nothing. So nothing happened. We come home.
Mhm.
Uh, man, just Caleb Moore was up there. There
Well,
was a
how's
lot of
Caleb doing? What about Hippie? Have you heard from Hippie?
no Hippie Dave. I hadn't heard
No, not Hippie Dave. Hippie. Little
no.
Hippie used to play poker.
Uh, yeah. I
Short
don't.
guy.
I
Greg
hadn't.
Best.
I haven't
Greg
seen.
Best.
I hadn't seen him in a minute. Not
Yeah.
since I used to run around up there all the time playing pool.
What about
Uh,
Caleb?
he's still
How's
around.
he?
He's played here and there. Um,
Cool.
he he stays messed up, but
Yeah.
every time you see him, he talks to you. He's found God.
I
So
know. I know. I love Caleb.
I do too. I do
I got
too.
him laid his first time. Me and Sheree McMinn.
Hey,
Ask him about that one. He was
she
15 or something. I won't get into that story.
she watches this stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. Love you,
okay.
Sheree.
Okay, so back to the question.
Yeah.
Um, do you see if you could play anybody from history, uh, who would it be and why?
Yeah. Minnesota Fats,
Okay,
because I'd like to bust him. And he never played that great. He was just a big mouth. And he intimidated everybody. But I don't think he would get to me. I don't think he can intimidate me. I would like to play him.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Mhm.
Um, I watched there was a video on Amarillo Slim. It said Minnesota Fats was waiting on him when he come back from overseas from the military, waiting on him in New York to play, and he played him and hadn't played any pool while he's in the military,
Mhm.
and Fats beat him, and then basically follows him to Amarillo,
Right.
and Slim got his money back,
Some busting.
got his money back, and then some. And then I
Mhm.
heard some bad stories on Amarillo Slim. It kind of, made
Mhm.
me little
Well, you know what they say, believe nothing you hear and half of what you see.
right.
But it's
Exactly.
hard not to.
Okay, let's go to the one
Spanky
on attack.
story, huh?
Huh?
You want me to tell you the Spanky story?
Yeah. Said told me about the
The
fishing
Greg
trip
Hogue.
with Mike and Kathy Batson. Yep.
You want me to tell you the whole story?
Come on with it.
All right. Well, me and Greg Hogue were at Dorden Training Center.
Yep.
Spanky, Spanky, uh, he's a unique individual. He was unlike myself, which I had to get back. I didn't really have much growing up. Spanky had grandparents that would buy him a new cue every week, and he would break it every week. They probably bought him 100 cues. He finally got a Mike Betts. It was like 1,300, his grandparents. And he was like, man, I don't even know how young he was. He was probably 14 or 15. He was 15 probably. I don't know. I think he's like 48 now,
Yeah. Pretty
which is
close.
a big difference because I grew up fast and like all those, when we're the same age now, pretty much, but then when I was 18, he was 14. I was like a 30-year-old, it was just different. But we went on this fishing trip and he never fished in his life. And I think I brought a little acid with me.
Uh,
And which I'd only done a few times. And Mike and Kathy Batson, they were great. We went on this big fishing trip, and we didn't drink. Spanky and I didn't hardly drink much. I think Spanky was 16, I think, and I was 22. I think no, couldn't have been. He must have been like 14 or 15. So, and Mike was working at a phone shop, like he would fix telephones and stuff like that. And Kathy had just had her twins, and Kathy and my son were the same age. I mean, the babies used to hang out. We all used to hang out. And I think my son was a few years older. But we had went out there and we started fishing. We had eaten this acid, I think, and we started peaking. And this is like, a long time ago when it was good. I guess it was good. It was crazy. But Mike and Kathy didn't do it, and they didn't know that we did it. And we weren't going to tell them. And we set up the tent and everything, and we're drinking. We start peaking, we start tripping hard. And Spanky, every time I would get his knot and his whole rig up, he would throw it right in this tree, right? I'm telling you, he did it for 3 hours, and I got sick of doing it. I was like, I'm not doing it, Spanky. I'm not doing it anymore. But I did it again. I would fix it up right in the tree. So we started drinking, and Spanky was real. He wasn't like he was a big bear now. He was real shy and innocent back then. And he had this cue. He had Mike Betts' cue, and we started drinking, and we probably drank 30 beers between me and Spanky, and it wasn't even affecting us. And Spanky turned into this big old grizzly bear. Like he was, man, forget this, screw that. And he threw his stick into the fire. He goes, I don't need to even play pool anymore. He throws his stick in the fire, and Mike runs and grabs the stick out of the fire. And a beautiful cue. Mike Betts just made a beautiful $1,300 cue. And then Mike had been drinking, keeping up with us. He didn't know how we were drinking that much, not hammered drunk, And he said, at this time, Mike's really drunk. He said, man, screw it. I just don't even want to work anymore. He started throwing his phones in the fire and everything. I was like, oh, God. But that's the Spanky story. I guess Spanky wanted me to tell it, so there it is. I didn't really want to tell it, but that's the whole story. So there you go, Greg.
No, when I
Love you, brother.
when I mentioned
We're still alive.
I mentioned I was going to interview you, man, that's what he said. He said, man, so that's my brother. He said, man, so tell him I love him. So
yeah.
So let me get back to these questions. So some kid come up to you, you wanted to know, how to, if he was starting in pool, what would he need to work on first? I know there's fundamentals, but what what game would you tell him to learn?
8 ball. I mean, that's what everybody learns first.
Right.
I would tell him, like sometimes I have this, like I'll give lesson. I'll charge like 200 for 3 hours. I'll do like 2 parts, and then that's it. And then I give them my number, and then they can call me if they want to work on anything. And I tell them it's like having a bottle of steroids and a Solo Flex next to your bed. That's what I tell them. And I tell them, like, throw 3 or 4 balls out there and take ball in hand, and then just in random or and run them in rotation. And once you do that 3 or 4 times, then throw 5 balls out there, and then 6, and so on. I'm not really a good teacher for beginners, like how to stand, because I told you I'm more natural.
Right.
I'm more of a mental, like I can teach, advanced players, how to win when you're in bad, how to get in your unconscious, subconscious mind, and how to do stuff like that.
Right.
More than beginners.
Let's see here. So how do you feel about pool today, as far as because I mean, people, they've got more access to training and stuff like that than we had growing up. I mean, we had books and videos.
It's not as fun to watch. I think it's better for the sport. the carbon fiber shafts and three speeds, been on jump over balls like this,
Right.
and the rack, because when I was growing up, you had to learn how to rack, like you put the rack on somebody, you had to learn how to go what to look for when they were racking the balls. It's just a different game, and even though I liked it better back then because it was harder. I think it's better for the sport today the way it is now, to
So
be honest. It makes it more like other sports, and you don't see someone going to a football stadium and being all ripped up in blue cloth. You know what I mean? Unless you're in Oakland A's baseball, and then you go to the San Francisco Giants baseball.
right, right.
But you know,
So when you get out, when you go play now, like go practice or something like that, where do you go?
I go to bull shooters, bull
Yeah.
shooters. That's
Um,
yeah here in Phoenix, but I've only played twice in 2 years. It's my Tomorrow will be my first tournament,
how long have you been in
which I
Arizona?
played pretty good. The first time I hit balls, I was like, yeah, I don't even want to play anymore. But then when I played the other day, I played real good. Like I hadn't even quit, so I was like, I got the itch again.
So guys, when you're out in Arizona, any 675 and below, go to Bull Shooters and ask for Justin Whitehead. I think they probably got him on speed dial, and
Well,
he'll
they don't, but you can put my number down.
he'll give you all the action you want.
251-444-6047.
All right, we'll highlight it and we'll put it down there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you getting the wrong phone calls.
I don't care. If I don't know the number, I answer it.
Well, Justin, man, appreciate your time.
You too, brother.
I wish you a lot of luck when you're out this way. Holler at me and we'll go try to get into some trouble. Not legal trouble, just trouble.
No, no, no.
All right,
God, no.
all right, man.
All right. Thank you.
Hey guys, if y'all enjoy stuff like this, man, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up and leave us a comment below and let us know how we did. And we'll see y'all next time on the Pulling Around Show. Take care. All right, man.
We still on?